Alright everyone, we have to laugh at Paul Ryan. It's easy to do. Like, Paul Ryan is a humorless man. Every time that he's, like, on camera or something, he's always got that, like, sad puppy look to him. He's got, like, the big puppy eyes and stuff. It's like, oh, somebody please give me a hug or something like that. Now he's saying, oh, I'm not going to do these town hall meetings because they'll devolve into, like, screaming matches or something. Really, the reason that Paul Ryan doesn't want to hold a town hall meeting is that even the Republicans virulently hate him. Like, Trump's fans hate Paul Ryan because he screws over health care. He was kind of a never-Trumper early on. He's not really getting anything accomplished. It's like his role right now, his job is to try to at least get things started on some of Trump's plans that he's outlined, which is what he won on and helped other Republicans win on too. Like, well, we need to allocate funding to at least finalize the plans for the border wall. The Republicans should not be standing in the way of tax reform or cutting bureaucracy. It's like the Republicans rally and campaign for decades on the idea that we need to shrink spending within the government. All of a sudden, they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. The president says, yeah, I'm willing to cut this agency and that agency. I'm going to shrink every budget across the board by like 5–10%. Somebody who has some degree of fiscal sense and who apparently is being encouraged by Bannon to give lower and middle class tax relief and sort of just mildly hike the taxes on the wealthy to offset whatever's left after you've cut the bureaus and you still have potentially a little bit of a deficit from that. They finally get everything that they could possibly want and need to pass full tax reform in this country to make the economy actually function for a change. And they're not willing to do it. Like, Paul Ryan takes a hands-off approach, won't even talk about it. It's completely ridiculous. I'm not surprised that the average Republican hates Paul Ryan and thinks Trump is way better. Because Trump can spout off on Twitter all day and he still, at least he speaks to the public. At least he says something. Paul Ryan doesn't even want to hold a meeting with fellow Republicans. He's just basically in hiding at this point. He's worse than John Boehner. And that's a hard act to follow when you're trying to be more ineffectual than Boehner was. Boehner seems like a happy-go-lucky, effectual man compared to Paul Ryan. They should beg Boehner to take his job back. He'd do a better job. And anybody would do a better job than Paul Ryan. So I'm not surprised that he's hiding. Because the screaming fest would be the entire crowd screaming at Paul Ryan. It wouldn't devolve into Paul Ryan's fans screaming at his critics and vice versa, because Paul Ryan doesn't have any fans. What he's trying to avoid is having a town hall meeting and somebody there recording footage of everybody in the crowd completely united against Paul Ryan. That's really what it's all about. I kind of feel sorry for him because he's not quite as much of a jackass as some of his critics say, but at the same time I can't really feel sorry for him because he's performing the role that would normally be ascribed to maybe the Democratic minority, which is stymieing everything that needs to be accomplished. Trump gets elected. He's got several main platforms that are extremely popular among Republicans and that have at least the business Democrats generally on board. The DNC may declare him Hitler for it. Oh, you're Hitler because you want tax reform, including tax cuts for the working and middle class of all things, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. They won't even talk about it. You've got like Rand and a handful of other people in Congress will talk about the idea of tax reform. McConnell doesn't want to discuss it. Oh, well, no, we don't think that making these cuts at this time is a good idea. The Republicans have spent decades saying we need to cut everything under the sun because you can't just hike taxes to get your way out of the deficit. Now, finally, you've got the willingness to tackle the issue in the executive branch, after 8 years of course, Obama being unwilling to cut so much as a single penny from government spending. You've finally got Trump in there who's openly proclaiming, yeah, I'll cut from all of these agencies. Everyone, there will be freezes and there will be layoffs, and some bureaus will be rolled into one another, other bureaus will be cut, some will be cut entirely. You finally got that and you're not willing to talk about it. You're also not willing to bankroll the border wall, which is immigration-wise perhaps the most popular and probably the best idea that Trump has. Meanwhile, they have no problem with deporting grandma, but they have a problem with building a border wall so that you don't have an illegal immigration problem in the first place. It's just screwy. The way in which Paul Ryan's mind works is screwy. But he's a neocon, so we shouldn't... It's like some people are saying, oh, he's kind of close to a libertarian because he read Ayn Rand once. Not even remotely. Not even close. Paul Ryan's just a goofy corporatist. It's no wonder nobody likes him. Neoconservative ideology and neoliberal ideology are beginning to die off. And that's a great thing for our country, but in the meantime, we get stymied by the fact that the first few people that aren't part of that group, that are actually in positions of power, keep getting stonewalled by them. So if it's not Trump, we have to wait until maybe the next president is a populist from the left or a nativist. Maybe they're like a quasi-nationalist. Maybe they're a libertarian. Who knows? But maybe they'll get somebody in Congress to work with them. Congress, at this point, is the big problem with the country. And it involves a bunch of Republicans. Not just, oh, the Democrats bad, Republicans good. Can't you see what Paul Ryan's doing? A lot of these people, John McCain, Lindsey Graham for the most part, although sometimes he says things that make sense, and it's always surprising when he does. You got people in Congress that just, they're not willing, they won't work with the Democrats, they won't work with the Republican president, they won't work with at least a segment of the other Republicans in Congress. What are they doing? What are they being paid for? I guess it's to sit on their ass for the next few years and do absolutely nothing. Hopefully as many as possible get kicked out during the midterms. I don't even care if they're replaced by Democrats. Long as the balance remains in Trump's favor, he should be hoping the same thing. Yeah, Paul Ryan's a dummy. It's funny to see him flee before crowds of old women who want reproductive rights and stuff like that. At the same time that it's funny to see him flee from Republicans that actually want tax reform. He's united the whole nation in derision of him. Like, when's the last time you said something positive about Paul Ryan? Not for a very, very long time. Let us remember, of course, he was the failed Veep, the running mate of Mitt Romney. And, of course, Mitt Romney was basically neocon 101. You couldn't get more neocon than Mitt Romney. He was basically the Mormon Republican Obama. So, yeah, we've got some problems as a nation. A lot of them come from Congress and from the Ninth Circuit within the judiciary. That's about all. Peace out.